quiet of our living room here, but let's give James a big welcome first. Yay! Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for everyone. That was great. Wow. Yeah.
So James, I bragged about all your spiritual insights. Tell us one.
Well, it's interesting to hear the theme of Rise Up because I just I learn every day doing the work I do as a medium. Every day I'm learning. And lately it's become more clear to, remind people that you're a soul having a human experience, not the other way around. And it's just a matter of changing your perspective,
right.
Changing perspective of who you are, that you're a soul having a human experience, and that this is our school for the soul. This is soul school, this earth world. It's our soul school. And if we can change our perspective and realize that, like, the soul, 70% of the soul is outside the physical vibration, like 30% is here. So most of us, it's here. And I think part of being human experience, is to bring in that higher self, that awareness, down to this dense vibration and live accordingly. And seeing yourself as a soul. And realizing that we come back into this level, the school, that there are all souls from all different walks of life, all different levels of awareness and growth and understanding, that there are baby souls, baby souls that think power and money and getting over on someone is the way to get ahead. Or maybe advanced postgraduate souls who are healers and light workers and understand compassion and forgiveness. And then there's middle school souls, they're still figuring things out. But I have found that it's important that we detach the ego. Because the ego can be healthy, but when we live our lives according to that ego, we got to be careful that, ego, edging God out. I got a bunch of them. And it's really, really true if we just remind us every day is an opportunity, every day is a journey, it's not a continuation. And if we, as Ernest Holmes was my greatest teacher in the beginning, the first things I've read Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind, but it's really important that we take each day as an opportunity of growth. It's not like yesterday, it's not tomorrow. Don't be futurists, living in the moment. And when we're present in this moment now, you can fully live out the moments. And life to me, from what I've talked to hundreds of thousands of dead people, we call them dead. They call us the walking dead, but but they say, life is made up of moments. And if you can go through life living those fullness, those moments, you're in. I had a loss of my beloved Maisie, my little doggie, four-legged creature, in January. And I didn't know how I was going to react to it. And we were together every day and just connecting and living with each other, really. And after she died, I didn't grieve. And I was like, why don't I grieve? I should be grieving. And she taught me a very valuable lesson, which was, we lived every moment together. There's nothing to grieve. We lived, and that's really what it's about. So we have the awareness that we are soul having a human experience, and that ego edging God out. And life, I said this before, many of you have heard me say this, life is a series of choices that the soul goes through. And each day, so there are choices. If you look back at your lives, you'll see the choices you made are either fear or love-based. And fear is very human. It's a human emotion. It's created, we learn fear from here in this human experience. Love is our natural vibration. It's who we are as love. And now, one of the hardest things we work with, families. We come back in this incarnation with families and friends, and they push our buttons, right?
Really?
The worst families, right? The worst families. So say everybody is your teacher. Everybody is your teacher, and your family are the ones who, if we're going to call them soul groups and friends that you've connected, let's say, in lifetimes together. And we're a part of each other, of course. So the greatest teachers are the ones that treat you the hardest. So if you're
I don't know if we wanted to hear that.
So if there's something going on with someone, say, okay, what am I learning about that person? So in a way, kind of a mirror to you. Okay, what within myself is that in wholeness of being that I have to look at this? And don't judge it, because I think judgment is fear-based. Because when we fear something, we judge and put it down, because sometimes we feel better if we could take control of it. And there really is no control. You can't control people, you can't control situations. All you can control is you respond to things, how you respond. And it's interesting now that we're going through these really hard times right now, right? Really hard hard times, rough seas, as I say. But we got to stay grounded, and we got to be true to who we are, and not get caught up with someone else's energy or someone else's point of view, and not be taken down that crazy phonetic road. And how do we do that? We ground ourselves and remind ourselves we're a soul having this experience, and our expression. And everybody you meet every day, you have to express something to them. I choose to express love. And my friend Jeff is here, and we go around, like maybe Starbucks, we say to everybody, how are you doing today? How are you? Server, waiters, waitresses, and people in credit card companies, really great on the phone. Hi, how are you today? And like, huh? It's like they shake people up to get out of that program. They're walking and take a moment to make a point with that person, because they might need to hear from you. That was a long answer to it.
Oh, did you love the answer? Yeah, we needed it, James. That was good.
Just a reminder of everybody, just a reminder of your perspective. One more thing I want to share, that years ago, I had a problem with a family member. And I'm not going to go into the details, but it was a situation. And my good friend Kelly White, who's a therapist and she's a medium, we do a show on Monday nights called Both Sides Down Beyond, and it's on Facebook. And she said, you know, every soul we run into, we have to remember that when you meet somebody, you're meeting everything about them. You're meeting their history, where they've been, where they've come from. You're meeting all of it. And you have to realize sometimes you can't expect people to do certain things, whether your children or your friends or family, because they're at the level they're at the level that they're at. So they may be limited. They might not see things with your perspective. They just don't have that experience, that awareness. So we've got to appreciate people for the level that they're on, because it could be limited. They might be the third graders. You know, they might be toddlers. So we can teach them just how we are, how we be. How we be.
How we be.
How we be. Kind of like that, though.
How we be.
I kind of like that, how we be. Yeah.
We have a new lingo.
How we be.
When you're talking, James, it reminded me of something that I've had a question about that I haven't talked about.
Okay.
When we were founded here because of losing our daughter, and she made us
I remember this.
rise up to new things, and she bugged you.
She did.
In the height of your fame.
She
bugged
did.
You to come and
That's
give
right.
us a reading, and I remember that.
That was over 20-something years ago.
Yes,
Sure.
yeah. But she said to me, there was so many miracles about her passing that she left that we put together. But she said to me, right, the 2 hours before she passed, she was making dinner for friends and me, and she handed me a burrito, and she said, Mom, when you're finished on this plane of existence, can you go at any time to do more important work elsewhere?
Wow.
And I just remember looking at her, and I said, well, yes, I do believe that.
Yeah.
But what about these planes? What are these planes? Where do you talk to spirit?
Okay. So this is very interesting. Good question, Sandy.
Good.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. She said that because when you pass out of the physical body, which we've done many thousand times, many lifetimes. Trust me, you being in the center, you've been through many lifetimes, because you were drawn here. There's an attraction here because this feels right into your soul. You resonate with this truth. And it's really true that it's so interesting. I've been talking about this lately. The spirit world isn't up there. We've been taught heaven is there, hell is there. Very human, right? Very human perception. So the spirit world, other realms and spaces, places, are all around us. All around us, right here. And what it is, all around everybody, we know that there exist microwaves and gamma rays and X-rays and infrared rays all around us. And we don't see them or feel them because it's outside the human spectrum. But there are things called televisions. I once explained this to Barbara Walters, and she had no clue what I was talking about. And I was perfect. I said, well, I don't know how you do this. I don't. I said, well, Barbara, you're part of a broadcasting industry. Do you know how your industry works? Well, I said, think about it. What's the science? What's behind it? She goes, huh? I said, well, you have a camera that transmits a signal and sends it into the airwaves. And she got lost at that. You know? and airwaves. And then there is a receiver that's attuned to that vibration that receives it, our television sets. Same thing, but you don't see those images in the air because they're moving at a faster rate of vibration. They're outside of the human spectrum. So the spirit people are all around us, and when we leave this body, it's painless. It's very natural. It's just taking a breath in and a breath out. And I've never had one spirit in the 40 years I've been doing this, come back and say, I really miss that body, that physical disease, anger. I don't miss it. What they do often say, and this is what I'm going to make an impression today, I hope, is that it matters what you do on this earth. That you should be more concerned with how you treat people than when you pass over. You should be more concerned with living to your true self, and that you demonstrate love instead of fear, no matter who you're with. And you take time to really be responsible for yourself. Can't blame mom or dad who brought you up a certain way. You're the soul that's come in to appreciate the best of life and the most of life. So they say, make the most of life here and use love, not fear. I wrote a book called Unfinished Business once, and what it was about was all these spirit people. When I say dead people, that's not right, because we're the dead ones. And I got so tired of hearing them say, if only I knew then what I know now, I would have made better choices. I made choices out of love. I wouldn't be in that victim consciousness. I would have used love. My life would have progressed so much more if I used love, because love is the fastest vibration that we have. And energetically, it's really fast. Fear is the slowest. It slows us down. And when we have dis-ease or imbalances in the physical, it's really resembling what's going on in the mind. Because the mind, the soul is the mind is the soul, as Ernest Holmes knew very well. And when we pass over, he said, the physical, the organ of the brain dies, but the mind continues on, which is what we are. And within that mind are all the every single experience you had on this earth, all the memories you keep with you, all the relationships, all the love. And the spirit people welcome you back. They look forward to you returning back home. It's not our home. And people get over this. Some of them are surprised, like, I'm so much more alive than I was there. I don't understand it. It's like a dream. And I once had a guy, this is really interesting. I love doing what I do because I meet such weird people, fun people, but wacky, funny, interesting perspectives, right? So I'm doing a reading somewhere in the country, and for this girl, and her aunt was coming through a path. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this spirit man coming closer. And I knew it was this girl's father. And his arms folded. And I said to him telepathically, as I'm working here, because I juggle like all these things, and he said, what's going on? I said, do you want to speak to your daughter? And he said, I didn't believe in this in life. Why would I believe in it now? So you are what you think. You are exactly what you think, right? And their mindset is where it brings you when you pass over. So I said to him, compassionately, because this was teaching him, and they spirit people set this up, I'm sure guides and so forth, and said, that's fine. Watch the process. You just enjoy yourself. Come on and watch it. And he watched it. And he was able to see or know how the aunt from the spirit world impressed me, the medium, to bring through information to the girl, and just stood. And got closer. And he got closer. And he goes, can I try it? I said, sure. And I said, your father is here. And he's saying, well, do you understand that? And she goes, yes. And once she understood, he just lit up. And he got closer and closer. And it ended up being, I'm going to cry, a healing for the father with his daughter. And that the aunt set that up in the spirit world. It was a whole plan of bringing him into it. And it really was a moment for him to say, I'm sorry, or ask for forgiveness, and do that one last time. So you never know, whether it's the spiritual or the physical, how you affect people's lives with your words, the actions of words, with your thoughts. We also talk about, and Ernest does it, the rippling effect. The rippling effect of your thoughts. It'll go on forever and ever. And I remember this, I got to tell this one story, because I don't get out much, so got to share. I remember, I'll never forget it, I had a near-death experience probably 15 years ago. I lived up here in Laguna. And I was at food poisoning, and my head hit the sink of the bathroom, and I went out. I was out of my body, and I looked down, and it was outside of time. And I was like, this is kind of weird. I know it's not my time to leave, but what's going on? And I didn't see anything except my cousin Patricia, who completed suicide probably 30 years before, who taught me metaphysics as a kid, by the way, and never come to me before. And she looked at me and I said, am I okay? And she goes, it's going to be all over, don't worry. And I said, over, or over? Because I really would like to know. Because you keep your sense of humor. And it's funny, because she left, and I was aware of this space, that every single individual has a cord of energy. And it goes into the tapestry, or the matrix, whatever you want to call that, right? So I thought this was a tapestry, and I realized that every thought I would have, would have a color and a texture and like a design. And it bled into this tapestry, which affected every other human, because we're all connected. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh. And at the end of life, I realized that we have a life review, and we look back at that tapestry, and we see the positive rippling effects or the negative ones. And we have to be our own judge and jury. Say, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I shouldn't. Oh, look at how it colored that. Oh, I could have done so much better, for every single person. And we're all connected. So the insights I had was, number one, there's no death. Number two, there's no separation. We're just one. So I say one, O-N-E, omnipresent, nurturing energy.
Oh.
Good one.
He said there'd be more.
So there you go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And you said he hadn't been out much lately.
This is my first since COVID, yeah. But no, it's my second.
Second, so we're very lucky.
I was in Connecticut or New York or someplace.
So this is not the time for the spirit messages, but to answer spiritual insight questions.
Any questions about that?
So Kurt, do you have the microphone? Will you have the microphone? Good. So if you have a question, not a story, but a question to ask James.
A general one, right?
Just a general. That
would help. That would help everybody.
Yes. Do you have a general question that might be a good question to ask? Bruce, and then Sheila, you'll be next.
There's no time, don't worry.
Barbara has one Kirk, Barbara has one that's working. There's always a solution.
Now, who am I supposed to go to?
Bruce.
Bruce.
And you want to stand up? Handsome man, stand up.
Well, thank you.
Hi, Bruce.
Thank you, James. James, my question is, how can I, as a person, nurture my ability to connect?
Okay, that's a really good question, Bruce. So I believe everyone is a born medium, if you will. And a medium, it's like I often say the analogy of like a piano player. So we're all able to play the piano, but not everybody's a concert pianist. So you have to have a certain amount of that fabric within you, but you certainly can develop your intuition. So intuition is a language of the soul. It's just soul talk. So what you have to do is get in tune with your soul, right? So whether we want to go inside through meditation, I call it sitting in the stillness of your being. And what I tend to do is I put a time aside. I do it differently now because I've been doing it for so many years. But in the beginning, I would just sit quiet. And I would do is I'd sit in a room. Now you're going to think this is weird, but I'd sit in a closet. I'd go back into the closet. Been out of the closet for a year, but I've got back. Never thought that would happen in this lifetime. And the reason why is 'cause it's a smaller space, and I wanted it to be compact. The energy would be concentrated, and really, it's a really simple thing. It's a passive activism in that you're sitting quietly, and you can work with the breath, breathing in and just breathing out, and you'll get the monkey minds, the little things that we think about come in. But if you acknowledge that they're there and just let them go by, don't give more attention. That's fine. And eventually you go back to your breath. Let your breath be your anchor. And you'll eventually get to a point where you're just connected to the soul self. And you feel that energy. And it's really interesting because you start feeling layers being taken off. And you sit in this, your soul becomes empowered. And you start listening to your soul. You go from your head to your heart. And the heart is tucked neatly behind, the soul is tucked neatly behind the heart. And so you start coming and living from that, not only when you want to be intuitive, that's who we are anyway. That's we're natural, all of us are intuitive. And we start using that and feeling things, feeling our way through. And just using it, practicing it, that's how you do it. Okay.
Great question. Good for everybody, Bruce. And wonderful answer. Don't you love him? Yay, yeah, so good.
I'm just old. I've been around a long time.
And Sheila, you're a nice, good general question for us.
Thank you. I was wondering, do you have any words about, like, if we have a family member who's, like, got a lot of brain injury, dementia, mental illness, like, either what's going on with them spiritually or how we can love them?
Okay, well, that's a good question, really good question, and there's not a simple answer. And the reason why it's not a simple answer is because every soul is different. Like every single one here is different. And everybody's lessons they have to learn are different. So I believe that we come back to work and perfect the physical body, the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional bodies. And there are probably a couple other bodies running around there. But those ones we come to work on. And I believe that, and I might be totally wrong, but this is what I feel, that sometimes there are certain souls that come back to work on the mental body more than the physical body. or the emotional body more than the other bodies. So sometimes they come to those mental conditions to perfect certain aspects of the mental body. That might be a good one. It also, and anytime you have that, or you might have like a physical situation, many times it's to teach others about compassion, patience, and to teach that soul about patience as well. So we're never by ourselves. It's always those soulmates, those people that are around us. We're learning from them as well. Yeah, there you go.
That was an excellent answer. Wow. All right, Suzanne, you had a question. Then over here, Mari, we'll get to you next.
Hi, James.
Hi, Suzanne.
Do you get repetitive visitors at night? Souls that come and visit
No,
you at
honey,
night? and
I
wake you up?
close the door. I'm not working.
I think she was talking to her about herself. Oh, no, did you mean, do you get repetitive visitors?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, so she said, do I get that? No, I
No.
don't get that. Because it's
So-
my space, not their space.
So
and you have to get to a point in developing, if you want to work as a medium or to it, you're obviously mediumistic. So you have to learn to develop properly, which is opening yourself up when you're working and closing down when you're not. Putting on the light when you're working and turning off when you're not. And that's really, really important in development as a medium. And when I see mediums on TV or some of those, I see they're not properly developed because they open up and that's it. That's not how it works. It's like a machine. It's an instrument. You have to learn how to use it properly. It's like a musician. You know, learn to tune in and play. The analogy I use is like a ceiling fan. If it's always on, you're going to burn out that motor eventually. Same thing with the human body. We work with the adrenal system and the endocrine system in this type of work. And if one is totally on that power, the adrenal is being pushed, it'll affect you. So you got to learn properly how to close down and not and take control. And boundaries. Comes with the boundary work too, you know.
Is that like a switch?
It's like a switch. You get to a point where you're open and at night you close off, so you know. And that does not mean that you're closing down your spirituality. A lot of people mix that up. It means that I'm taking control and responsibility of this vessel. And you know, something also we should tell you, that the soul leaves the body every night we go to sleep. Usually to the top of the head, and that's sometimes you feel like you're falling down or falling down a mountain or something, and you come back into the body, because the soul usually leaves at the crown chakra, and if it's not leaving in the correct alignment, it comes back in. And when you leave and we go to sleep at night, we go to those other levels of awareness, and we see our loved ones and our teachers, and maybe some of them prepare for situations that are coming up in our physical life. So we don't get much sleep, really. We're very busy when we go at night.
Thank you. Good.
Can I ask one more? Just any next steps on development?
Okay, so I have a great school online, okay? And it's the best, I'm sorry, but it's the best one that I've seen out there, really. 'Cause I worked my rear end for 4 years putting this together, and it's really thorough. And I have, it's called the JVP School of Mystical Arts. You can find it on my website too, Vampire. But it's a really thorough, I have a Psychic Portals course, Intuition course, a Healers course. I have everything on there. See what resonates for you. And I do videos and I do meditations, and it's step by step by step. We don't rush it because it's a progression. It's a process. You don't want to rush anything in this type of work because, you know, you also learn who your soul is. When you sit and you develop your intuition, or your soul is evolving. You're starting to have this new relationship. And that's what I was talking about, sitting in the quiet, because your soul is evolving. And that's the process you should enjoy. Yeah.
Well, James, you can tell he's a teacher. I mean, that's what you do,
I am,
so it's
I am,
beautiful,
yeah.
yes. Okay, Mari, you had a question, and then Debbie.
Here.
Well, wait, hold on, your mic's coming. I know you have a beautiful voice, Mari.
Thank you. Thank you, James, for coming and
You're
sharing.
welcome. You're welcome.
So, do we all have spirit guides?
Sure.
And if we do, how do we get in touch with them?
Well, that's a good question. So every single person has spirit guides or loved ones, and spirit guides can be family members who passed over, who maybe in their lifetime didn't think they did enough for you. Like my mom, that happened, and I said, "Why are you a spirit guide?" She said, "I didn't feel I did enough to help you in the physical world, so I came from the spiritual side." And a lot of us whose relatives feel that will be with us. They were older. I wrote a book about guides, Don't ask me the name of it, I don't remember it. But it's a good book. And it's all about the different types of guides, because we have all different types of guides. There are joy guides, which are usually children. They bring up the joy aspects of our soul. Career guides, let's say we're going for some kind of a job or career. There are specialist guides that, let's say you're going to do something like learn how to oil paint. Well, then you will draw to you by that, those experts who come close to you, who want to, if you will, perfect and bring out those aspects of your soul, that creative gift or ability, to the forefront. So you have those beings. So there are many different, there are philosopher guides, inspiring guides. So when you go to a spiritual level of work in spirituality, you'll bring these spiritual beings together. When I first started developing as a medium, I had scientists that came around me, a medical doctor. Edgar Casey also was one of my guides that came in when I first started doing the work. So, and you have all different types of guides. So how do you tune into them? Same way I was talking about sitting in the quiet. So you start seeing the quiet, you become aware of your own soul, and then you become aware of the space around you. And that's pretty cool. And then the bands around you. And you can say, I want like a healing guide to come in front of me and feel the subtle energy. Because it's really subtle. It doesn't hit you over the head. It's a subtle, it's like a breath. It's like a wind blowing a feather. And that's how you become aware of the vibration of the energy, that what feels like a philosopher guide, what feels like a healing guide, how do I feel a career guide? That's it. Again, patience and the process, real important.
And you ask them to come in, like before you go to sleep or before a meditation, do you say, spirit guide for...
Well, they're always there, but are you aware of them? See? Oh. So when you say come in, they're there. It's just can your mind register them, because they're right there. And I have one of mine courses where I bring the guides in behind you. And they come behind you, and you ask them to come through, and you step to the side, and they come in, and you ask them to share that space. So, you know, the visions I have are your visions. The words of my mouth are your words. I feel you with you. I see as one, speak as one, feel as one. And you become one with them. And that's just the experiment, the process of doing that. That realize what was just more than just this physical being. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, we have we're getting close, Karen, we're getting close to the end of our questions, so we have time. So Karen, do you want Kirk, or raise your hand so Kirk can, yeah, good. Good question, Mari, for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, did I understand from your story about the father who had to learn that our soul has to keep on learning after we pass?
Yeah, there's no end. We're always learning. So it's not a negative, darling. So we can't put a judgment on it. I'm learning every day. We all learn every day. So it's being down here in this earth is an opportunity. It might not feel like it, but it's a real opportunity to grow, because there are many, many different planets or galaxies, millions of galaxies. But the earth world, they say, is one for the soul to have all different types of dynamics, like the baby souls, postgraduate souls. And because of the difference in that, it forces different scenarios for our soul's growth to go inside and say, how are we going to handle that situation? You don't have that in other spaces. So people's souls are fighting to get back down here to evolve. Because you can do the work on the other side, but you won't evolve as quickly as you evolve here.
Isn't he amazing? I could listen to James forever.
It's common sense. Right?
Yeah, it's the way you put it together. It's your beautiful Virgo mind.
It's the kiss complex. Keep it simple, stupid. That's all it is.
Well, I want to let you know, just so everybody's prepared, this is the portion of the spiritual insights, but there'll be more after lunch too. Our beautiful board president has hosted a gorgeous lunch for those of us that got tickets. All the lunch tickets are sold, but after the service is over in 10 minutes, we'll have everybody go out the back doors. And Bruce, would you watch this back door when we leave, just to make sure everybody's safe getting out? And I think, is there somebody else watching the back door back there? I thought, Elliot, were you watching that one? I'm not sure, but we'll make sure we go out that way. Then you'll come in the front if you've purchased a lunch ticket and get your seats, and we'll have a beautiful lunch. Thank you, Shelley. Can we just thank Shelley right now? So beautiful. I mean, it expresses your personality. Thank you. And then if you didn't get a ticket but would like to hear James after the lunch, if you want to come back at 12:30.
And do spirit messages. I'm talking to dead people after this, right?
You're talking to dead people. and do spirit messages.
See me work as a medium. It's pretty trippy. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty amazing.
It's really cool. You can just come in. Well, it'll be $55. Come in, you pay at the register, and come on in and join us then. So I'd get rid of business then. But
Yeah, and also, I just want to mention that if you want to do a workshop, I'm going to be doing a workshop in August with Gordon Smith from Scotland, who's a top medium in Europe, and we do that in San Diego. And that's on my website, vanpraagh.com. If you're interested in that, and we're doing a demonstration one night too with a lot of messages. So it's all on my website, vanpraagh.com. I have a couple of things come. And I might be back here in October too. We'll see.
yeah, good.
We'll talk about it.
I know. It's
Thank you.
Good. Anyway, let's just say thank you to James.
Thank you.
And how much